Okay, let me set up the screen share here. Word. Okay. Okay, let me set up the screen share here. Okay, so starting session 13, Schirus Batim, the rental of properties or houses, literally. Choshen Mishpat, Simonim, Shin Yud Beis, Shin Yud Dalid, 312, 314. So we start Pinui Haseicher Me'abayis, evicting a renter from a house, which is Simin Shin Yud Beis. So even if they did not establish a time, meaning there was no time period set to the rental, somebody moved in. We didn't decide. We didn't discuss how long he's going to stay. Even so, in order to get him out, to evict him, I have to give him advance notice. So in the Gemara Bab Metzia, it's explained that the sages, they ordained that a renter or the landlord is not allowed to evict a tenant from a property without notifying him first. It's explained there in the Gemara, so it's explained in the Gemara that if the landlord's own house that he's living in right now collapsed, or whatever other reason that he's not able to live there, then he can evict the tenant without prior notice. Why? That he says to him, Lo yadifas mine, why are you better than I am? So it's true, I can't get rid of you because you need a place to live, but now I also don't have a place to live. So why are you better than me? Since I also don't have a place to live, I can evict you with no notice. So the landlord says to the tenant, it's true, I did not inform you ahead of time on this eviction. And now you're going to have a hard time finding a new house, a new place to live immediately. But you're no better than me. I also don't have a place to live. And I did not have the opportunity to tell you about it in advance, because how was I supposed to know my house would collapse? Which it doesn't say it clearly here, but and we'll see this later. But it's an interesting thing that if he did know ahead of time that his house would collapse and he didn't notify him, then he's got a problem. Then he actually cannot evict him right away, being that he knew. We'll see that when we talk about somebody's son who got married and he needs a house for his son to move into. It's furthermore brought there in the Gemara, so it explains the Gemara there also that if the son of the landlord got married and now the landlord wants to evict the tenant so that without advance notice, so that he can give the house to his son. So can he do it? That depends on if he had the opportunity to give him advance notice or not. That if he knew that his son was getting ready to get married and he was negligent, and he didn't tell the tenant, so now he cannot evict him. And if he did not have such an opportunity, then he can evict him immediately without prior notice. Same reason like we said before, you can say you're no better than me. V'tzarich ani is a bayis b'shvil b'ni, and I need the house for my son. So just quick recap that you cannot evict even if there was no timeline set, like you don't have a lease and you don't have an agreement for how long the rental period is going to last. You still cannot evict a tenant without advance notice. And this is a takana from the Chachamim. We see in the Gemara Bab Mitzia. And the exception is if the landlord himself now has nowhere to live. If his house collapsed, or he doesn't say it in the Gemara, but mistama and any other reason that he's no longer able to live where he was living, then he can evict the other guy, even though the other guy is going to have a hard time finding a new house to live in. He can say, "Listen, you're no better than me. I also don't have where to live now." And the same holds true by somebody whose son is now getting married. And he needs the house for his son. The same thing. He can say, "Listen, you're no better than me. I need the house for my son to live in." So it's not my problem that if I had where to live, my son had where to live, then I have to give you enough time to find where to live. But since I myself don't have where to live, or my son doesn't have where to live, then I don't have to give you advance notice. Unless he knew in advance, because if he knew in advance and he was negligent and he didn't give prior notice, then he cannot evict him immediately. It's only if he didn't realize his son was going to get.
Yeah, can I just ask a quick question? I just came in right now. So my question is, you're talking about when there's no lease involved, right?
No lease, which would be the most common way nowadays.
Yeah.
But in theory, even a verbal agreement, now go enforce it if somebody lies about it. But even a verbal agreement would still be the same thing.
What do you mean a verbal agreement?
Verbally agreed. I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay you X amount for 12 months. We didn't write it in a lease, mamish.
All right.
An agreement that it's going to be okay. Now, obviously, practically speaking, you want a lease because then if somebody remembers something differently, you can't how you enforcing it, how you proving it.
Right, but if you have a lease, you can't do that. You can't push anybody out, even if your son is getting married, even if you don't have where to, because you have a lease.
Right, correct. Right
Now,
now,
does a lease
does
a lease have to have
not just a lease, and not just a lease. Even if we had a verbal agreement, if we
and there's
agree that this
and there's Adim
doesn't need Adim.
Yeah,
doesn't need Adim.
No, in order to enforce the lease.
So that's
the verbal agreement.
That's different. That's mitzad practica. But even without Adim, the ASIC is valid. Meaning the Adim without it's
even without the Adim,
it's still valid, but it's probably not a wise thing to do.
Right, but theoretically, if the guy was ehrlich, he would have to.
Let's say we show up in Beis Din.
Right.
And we're both honest people. And we're both telling Beis Din the same thing, that we made an agreement that it would be 12 months for X amount. And I tell the Beis Din, yeah, it was like he said. And you tell the Beis Din, yeah, it's like he said, exactly. So the Beis Din knows what so then you can't evict him until the end of that period. It's just like a lease. Now again, go and
yeah, right. But you're talking about when I first started asking, you were talking when there's no lease and there's no agreement.
There's no lease, there's no agreement.
Right. Okay. Fine.
Do just whatever. What's it called? You see, you needed a place. You said, okay, hey, I'm moving to this place, and you said, okay, pay me $100 for this month, and the next month you give me another $100, and I keep living there. The next, but we never discussed how long you're going to be there.
All right.
So okay. Even then, you have to give notice. You can't just evict somebody unless, like we said, unless you have a situation where either you lost your home, I can no longer live in my house. So then, why are you better than me? So I can move in right away. Or if the guy's son unexpectedly got married. Again, but this is not nowadays that wouldn't be a very common happening. But if somebody's son got because you would usually know 30 days before your son got married, although lavdafka 30 days, because it says even in the Meisag Shamim, it's really you can't evict somebody between Sukkot and Pesach. So
Right.
so it could be even like my son gets engaged on the Shvat, and he's getting married Adar,
Yeah.
and technically I can't take you out until after Pesach, because it's the cold months and it's hard to find the places and whatever. It's hard to move then. So Schirus Lizman Kotzuv Dino Kemecher. On the other hand, if we have an agreement on we agreed on a time period, then it's like a sale, meaning it's like you sold it to me for 12 months or however many months the term is.
Right.
So just like I can't go into a property that you own and say I need it for my son. The same thing, I can't just go into a property that I rented you for Zman Kotzuv for my son or for myself, even if I don't have where to live. Harosh Kosav Shekol Hasugi Bagemari Hirak Benegel Mikra Shaskiris Hoyse Bistam Bli Shisikmu Bineim Alzman Mesuyom Shebei Tistayim Askiros. The Rosh writes that all this sugi in the Gemara is talking about is dafka when there was no discussion, they did not specify, and they did not have any agreement between them on a specific time period that when this rental will end, when the lease will end. Even in such a case, that the Kon of the Chachamim is that you have to give him advance notice. But if they agreed on what the time period will be, it's the whole this throughout a lease period, it's considered like his own property. And interestingly, in modern law, we see it similar. In other words, I'm not allowed to enter the property I'm renting to somebody else. It's his property for that time period. And the landlord cannot evict him. Even his own house collapsed, he doesn't have where to live. He still can't evict him if they agreed on a time period. Shulchan Aruch. A landlord who he rents to his fellow a house or a courtyard or a bathhouse or a storefront for a specific time, and he cannot go back on his word or takes money and to evict him during this time. Even if the house of the landlord collapsed, the house that he's living in collapsed, and he doesn't have where to live. Even he became poor, he became impoverished. And he has to sell the property to somebody else because he needs the money. He cannot evict him. However, the transaction that he sold the property is valid. This is a valid transaction. The sale is good. So the landlord, Reuven, the landlord, now sells the property. Right, he rents to Shimon, and now he sells the property to Levi because he needs money. The transaction's good. It's Levi's property now. However, what the buyer Levi, money. He can't take possession of the property. He can buy the property, but he can't take possession of it until the time of that Shimon agreed with Reuven ends for the lease period. The im hikdim leyaschar shilam leidmei schiris mireish. If he advanced payment, afil lizman middle, but even for a lot of time, he cannot evict. Meaning they didn't actually agree. They didn't verbally agree, and they don't have a contract where they agreed on a lease period. But they had a price, let's say per month. Let's say it's $100 per month. And Shimon goes, even though he didn't agree on a time period, he paid him $1,400. So $1,400 is 14 months. He cannot evict him before those 14 months are done.
He can't give him back his money and say, "Take your money and get out of there."
No.
That's a pshat. It's
Right,
it's
right.
a mecher kayim. It's like a mecher.
Right. It's like it's meaning it's the same as if It's the same as if you would have had a lease.
Right.
Yeah, because that money, meaning that money shows that we both had the understanding I'm going to be there at least 14 months. It shows that we had an agreement for 14 months.
Very good.
Even though they didn't set a time explicitly, because the payment is the same thing. It shows that intent on both sides. So now what? So now we're getting we'll get more into this the when you sell a house that has a tenant in it.
Yeah.
Nishal Eidis Ruvin Hiskir is Bais L'Shimin L'Shal L'Shanim. Okay, so the Mishnah Halachis, he was asked about, he writes about a Shiloh that came before him, that Reuven leased a house to Shimon for 3 years. In the middle of this period, in the middle of the 3 years, Reuven sells the house to Levi. Bishtar Mecher with a proper deed. V'nigmar ha'isqa, and they concluded the deal. He sold it complete. He did everything they need to do legally. It's legally sold to Levi. Ka'es tayin Reuven. Now Reuven comes back and claims shekavanose that his intent hoisa shamechira pachel bepeil rak b'siyum tkuvas askir shel Shimon. His intent was that the transfer of ownership should only be at the end of Shimon's lease. And he should continue to receive the rental payments until the end of the lease period. The Ilu Levi Tayin. Levi says, hang on a second. I was buying a house from you. Who cares about a tenant? I was buying the house from you for immediately. And naturally, if I bought it from you today, I should continue to receive the rental money, or I should now begin to receive the rental money.
The Shiloh over here is not about him moving in, right? It's not about Levi.
No,
Levi understands. Levi
right,
understands.
Yeah, Shimon is in for 3 years, and we all know we can't move him out for 3 years.
Yeah, because that would be another Shiloh. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that we already answered. We already answered that Shiloh. Even if he sells it to somebody else.
Yeah. So that
and not just that.
Oh, that's Bestam. Even if you didn't tell him,
right? So if a new guy buys it, and the tenant was Bestam, okay, so then he has to give him whatever the advance notice is for Bestam.
Right.
Or unless now Levi's house falls down.
No, but I'm saying when Levi buys it from him, right? And he could I bought it in order to move in. So we tell him the halacha is that not that you can't move in till he finishes.
Well, meaning,
but the guy says I didn't know anything.
If there's an agreement,
I didn't know anything. So the answer is you should have known, right? Or he should have informed him. Which of the two? You should have made your own inquiries. That's a shaila that.
That's also what I love. I mean, because that's not just that. Stamazay, if you come to me, in other words, that could be grounds for mekachtos even, because
exactly that's what I'm saying.
Say here, I'm selling you my house.
Yeah.
Okay, unless you're telling me, I'm assuming there's no tenant in there.
When I bought it to move in.
In there, I would assume you would tell me about that. So it's probably grounds for mekach, not in such a case.
So maybe yachzor a mekach. The whole thing goes back, and that's it. A mekach bottle. I think.
In this case, but in the case we were talking about above, Levi knows there's a tenant in there.
Yeah, and he gets the money.
He agrees to buy it with a tenant in there. So then basically he has the same halach as the original owner.
Right.
If there was an agreement, he has to wait until the agreement's done, even if his own house falls down. If it was bistam, then the same thing. He has to give him the same notice that Reuven would have had to give him.
Right. And if he gives him the money in advance, the same thing. Everything as Reuven. Yeah.
What's an interesting shaila is but I guess that really falls under this same thing, because in this case, let's say he paid him 14 months in advance, and now Reuven sells it to Levi. So
Yeah, where's my money?
right, hang on a second. Yeah, right. The guy's living in my house I just bought from you. He paid you the rent already. Now, but this really falls under the same shaila here.
Is it mekach or not?
No, well, it's the Mecca is the Mecca is Kayim, where he knows he's a tenant or whatever. Now Reuven comes in Tainas. Oh, I only intended to that you should take ownership at the end of that lease. And Levi says, "What are you talking about? I bought the money.
Pay you now,
I
yeah.
bought the house. I gave you the money. Now I was intending to. I wasn't intending to move in. Now I knew you had a tenant.
It's mistaver that she should that Reuben should have to advance some money to Levi because as part
In
of the
the case that
binders.
you're talking about, you're saying.
Yeah, when he paid in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, so that will depend on how he paskins in this case.
right.
Because if he paskins that we believe Reuven that the ownership only takes place till after, then he keeps his 1,400. If we say no, Levi's right, he gets possession right away, then Levi then would have to pay Levi whatever portion is remaining on the months. Yeah.
Right. What you say, where you pay monthly, would have the same din if he paid in advance. That's what you're saying. If he's in other words, what you say by one, you'd say by the
In
other.
other words, either way, depending on where we say Levi takes ownership.
Right.
Yeah.
It should make a difference. Right.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Mishnah Loch is ona shadavar pashut shekol zman sheruvin liomar b'mfurish shamechir tochel rak b'siyum tkuf tzachirus. The Mishnah Loch is he answers he paskin that it's simple, that so long as Reuven did not say explicitly that the ownership is only transferring at the end of the lease. He can't say, "Oh, this is what I meant. This is what I intended." Rather, the sale is effective immediately. Levi gets possession immediately. Mihu apesi she'itin kesef avur bayis. Who is the fool that would be willing to accept, that would be willing to pay money now for a house that's leased to somebody else, and the prior landlord's gonna receive the money? Who would agree to such a foolish deal? That the usual way, the regular way of things is that the mechira is now.
Yeah.
So since the sale takes effect right away, so together with the house, he sold him also the rental agreement that he had with Shimon. At the same time, he transferred ownership. He transferred the lease with Shimon. So Levi now stands in Reuven's place for all matters. And going back to the shaila about the 1,400, that means he would have to pay him
we'd have to give him the money. Reuven would have to give Levi part of the money that he got in advance.
Yeah, whatever was remaining.
If you say the mecher took place immediately, you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Very good. Shkoyach. Very nice. Good.
Levi tzarich lekabel keises me'aschirus, and Levi now receives the rental money. The yachadim zois, and together with this, not only does he receive the rental money, but he also has all the obligations that Reuven had. He cannot get Shimon out until the end of the lease, just like Reuven was obligated. Because whatever agreement Reuven made with Shimon is now chol on Levi in place of Reuven, because he's in his place for all things. The keiches shel Levi ain't a godel mekeiches shel Reuven, and Levi's rights are no greater than Reuven's rights. He has the same, no more, no less. He has the same exact rights as Reuven. She puts in the bais measures manaskiros.
Why did he say in a godel mekach shel Reuven, in a poches mekach shel Reuven? Should I say?
Oh, that's because he's talking about his rights. He doesn't have any. It's also in a poches, but it's also in a godel. because
Right.
meaning he's focusing on
On
the
Hoitzi, on
right,
Hoitzi.
yeah, on the fact that he can't take him out. So he's saying he has,
Yeah.
in this respect, he has no more rights than
In Hoitzi, you're right, but in terms of getting his
the
money,
money would be
rent is
like bucket. It
pochas.
would be like
Yeah.
bucket. Yeah, yeah.
Very good. Thank you. I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Okay, cost of Ramo. She puts him now fixing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the renovations in the house during the time of the rental. Just on the way into this, it should just be he's gonna bring it up. It's gonna bring up later in here, but it's just important to note that a lot of these things is different than now. And ultimately on a lot of these things we go by the minhag, the local, how it's done locally. Meaning this is not like ribis where here's the halacha. This is like Einos Dvarim and these kind of things, right? In Gnevas,
Right.
where what we need to determine is right because I can be Michael you anything, you can be Michael me anything. So it comes down to a question of what was the understanding when we made our agreement. What was the presumed understanding? And of course, let's say in a certain local place, everybody does something a certain way. We can presume that that's the understanding. So all the things that he's bringing now is based on what the presumed understanding was in those times, in the times of each of the Ramah, in the times of the Minchas Choshen, etc., etc. Kosav Ramah, Hamaskir Bais Lechaveri Ubeseichas Man Reitz Livneisei. So he leases a house to his friend, and in the middle of the rental period, he wants to do renovations. He cannot force him to leave the property, even if he's offering him a better property while he's renovating. Gam lahachnis and he also cannot bring in workers in the house to do renovations. Mihu. So what's the most he can do? He can ask the tenant to go beyond the letter of the law, meaning essentially he can't force, but he can ask him for a favor.
But so meanwhile, till the favor goes through, he can't make any renovations. In other
Can't
words,
force him
right?
nothing. Yeah,
He has to wait till the lease is over,
the
and then
lease is
he.
over, and then make renovations. This is my house now, right? It's
Yeah.
we agreed on 12 months. It's my house for 12 months. I don't want your people. You want you for your own benefit want to come make capital gains here, but it's my house now. It's like mocher to me.
Right.
And so, so he listen. He can ask him. So that's the most he can do. He can request from him. Listen, I'll put you in a better house. I'll put you in a nicer. I have a twice the size apartment down the block that's already renovated. Fine, if he agrees, no problem. But he can't force him. What are we talking about? We're only talking about when there's a real disturbance going on here. Like he's stopping the tenants from sleeping or something like this. If we're talking about a temporary disturbance, like let's say the landlord wants to close off the porch so that it's now he wants to raise the value of the property so he can make it nicer for the next guy who's coming in after the lease is done. So this kind of thing you can do, something that's not awfully disruptive. The umnias avoid the targum lamaskas the gadol, especially if it's gonna end up being a great loss for the landlord if he doesn't do this work. Yamaskir mitzidai, and the landlord from his side, he has to be sensitive to not be disturbing the menucha, the peace and the rest of the tenant.
Yeah, it's
If
much from
so,
him that he can't say if you want if he can't finagle with him the in the case where he has to because kaifin amidas daim it's mashma that he can't say, you want to disturb me, fine. So take $50 off my rent or $100. It doesn't nicht done because kefin al midas means no negotiations.
Right.
Because the guy could say, both
he's
me
allowed to do
have a
this.
minute to turn as
Yeah, he's allowed to do this.
That's what he
Are
thought.
you trying to stop him from doing this, or
Yeah.
like you're saying, you're trying to profit from?
Yeah, I'll let you in, but so the halach is clear. In a case where you can't force him, you can't force him.
Yeah.
Finished. And in the case that you can't force him, you can't force him. Now, in the case we can't force him, you want to finagle with him, that's your business. With him. In a case where he can't force him, but that's
Right.
not.
Listen, in a case that you can't force him, right? In that case, he could
Yeah, you could say,
he could
yeah,
back to say, listen, give me so take off half my rent for the month,
because of the inconvenient and the
right?
unpleasant
Or
noise.
whatever it is, or whatever else he wants to demand. It's
Sure.
fine.
Yeah, but in the case where not, in the case where you force him, he has to
And
accept
yeah,
it.
then right, yeah. All right. He can't hold him back. How much more so when it's mamish like a fast something quick. Listen, I just need to come in for 2 minutes and what do you call it? And swap out this thing or whatever. So even how much more so that he shouldn't cause a loss to the landlord for garnish for no good reason. So okay, so all of the above. So first we were talking about in general about they did not set that you have to give advance notice. Then we spoke about what happens when there is a set time. Now we're jumping back. Let's go back to we said that he has to give advance notice. What does this mean, and what's the advance notice that's required? So there was no agreement for the rental period. We brought before in the Gemara, even if there was no set rental period that they agreed to. So we said that the landlord has to notify the tenant ahead of time if he wants to evict him. So the Gemara explains, it specifies what. So what are we talking about? What is how advanced is advance notice? And this is brought in the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch. Hamaskir bayis lechaveri stam. If somebody rents to his friend unspecified, right, no specified time period, he has to give him 30 days notice before eviction. That he should be able to find a place and not be thrown on the street. And at the end of the 30, he has to leave. Doesn't make a difference. He found a place. He didn't. He gave them 30 days, which should be enough time to find a place. That's it. After the 30, you got to get out of there. When are we talking about? In the summer. But in the rain, you can't evict him. What does it mean? From the beginning of Sukkot until Pesach. I'm guessing until the end of Pesach. Asma bir, the Asma explains, should be that during the cold months, the winter months, it's hard to move somebody, for a person to move himself and his stuff from one house to another. The gam kosher yesel limtze did right? For the same reason, it's hard to find a place to rent because since it's hard for people to move during that time, it's also hard to find the rental because nobody's moving out, right? We see this in modern real estate, that there's certain times that everybody, first of all, in the summer more people move. We see during in places that are cold that have snow, this and that, people rarely move out in January, February, and it's taka hard to find a place to rent.
Yeah.
During this during this period. So therefore, even if he lets him know 30 days in advance, Any yochel eitzim is sukkos at Pesach. He still can't take him out from sukkos to Pesach in the cold months. Unless he told him 30 days before the beginning of Sukkot. Then then he can tell him. Let's say now it's Sukkot. The guy, you can tell him, I'm sorry, and let's say no, it's between Sukkot and Pesach. But I told you 30 days before Sukkot. You had 30 days before Sukkot that you could have found the place. Get out. That the beginning of Sukkot is considered the beginning of the rainy days. Furthermore, it's brought in the Rambam Shulchan Aruch. So this what we said is that you have to give 30 days, right, in the summer, and you cannot evict between Sukkot and Pesach, right? So you have to give either 30 days before Sukkot or from after Pesach. You have to give them 30 days, one or the other. So all of this is talking about what in base megurim ba'ayaris, in a dwelling house, meaning in a residential rental in the towns. Base megurim lafuki chanus, meaning is dafke a residential rental as opposed to a storefront. And ubayoris lafuki krachim, and dafke in towns as opposed to in big cities.
A quick question.
Yeah.
Did you see anywhere in the halacha that there is, just like by a loan, a priority to rent to a Jew versus a non-Jew? Very practical question.
In session 13, no.
Okay.
Yeah, in this session, I haven't seen any.
What's it in by big towns, Take?
Okay, so now I was going to say, but
Yeah.
Bichlal, it seems like the whole thing, everything we're talking about here, seems to be assuming it's a rental between a Jew and a Jew.
Okay.
That's what it would seem. Yeah, at this point, he hasn't brought up akum, not in terms of a landlord and not in terms of as a tenant. And not,
I mean, by Goy, it's sicher you follow the Minhag Medina, the Chok Medina,
nowadays it turns out even for a Yid we do, but
Yeah, really, huh? Look at that.
Usually, yeah. It's almost
Yeah.
not practical.
it's about he'll bring it later, and I think the Aruch HaShulchan brings it. And not just the notification and all this. It's even all of the landlord tenant responsibilities and duties.
Although I would tell you, as Shaila came to Rabbi Oz about years ago, I remember there was a chavrusa of mine. He wasn't getting adequate heat, and it was in Crown Heights when I was living in Crown Heights, and he went to the basin and said, "It's not fair. I'm not getting enough heat." And the guy had a taina, the landlord. The law is I have to provide to you 69 degrees of this and this.
Yeah.
And
In Brooklyn,
my husband said, no, it needs to be warm. I don't know about any type of thing. If it's not livable, I don't care what the law is. The halacha is it's got to be habitable. So just putting that out there.
right. So now,
Well-
what if it's not? What if it's a storefront in a town or a big city, or what if it's a dwelling house? And certainly a storefront in a krach in a big city. So in that case, tzarich hamaskir leidia laseicher steim aser chadashim mereish. He has to note. He has to. You see, this is we know getting rid of squatters is not so easy. Huh? You have to tell the guy 12 months in advance. Afilu b'meisa chama, even in the summer months. Why? Because why? Because a storefront, people usually lease it for a 12-month period, and therefore it can be very hard to find a storefront in less than 12 months in a small town even, and certainly in a big town. And in a big town, not only a storefront, but even an apartment could be, again, this is This is back then. This is not now. But so basically, a storefront, even in a small town, even in a big town, doesn't make a difference. 12 months. In a residential home, so in a small town, 30 days, but not during but not between Sukkot and Pesach, and in a big town, 12 months. The Rambam Shulchan Aruch continue, Kishem Shamasin Chayiv Leidiyeh, Kach HaSeicher Chayiv Leidiyeh, Mikaydim Shleishim Yoim Ba'ayoris, and Mikaydim Shnei Maser Chedesh Bakrochim. So the same obligation that the landlord has, that he has to give the tenant time to find a new place, the tenant also has to the landlord. He can't just leave, because now I have to find another tenant. You're hurting my livelihood.
Yeah.
Just like a landlord has to give a notice, so too the tenant has to give notice, right? So same formula. If it's a storefront, 12 months, no matter where it is. If it's if it's residential, if it's in a small town, 30 days, but not between Pesach and Sukkot, because he won't be able to find a tenant to move in between them. Or if it's in a big town, 12 months.
And the same thing by Chanus and all that, right?
Yeah, the same exact form, meaning
Everything,
the
same formula.
same application the landlord has for notification, because this guy's not going to be able to find a new place. The same obligation the tenant has, because the landlord won't be able to find a new tenant. Today, that he should look around and find a Choshen, that he should be able to find a new dweller, and his property should not remain empty. If he didn't tell him, he can't leave. Meaning he could physically leave his body from there, but he can't leave the deal. He's chayiv to continue giving the rent for whatever it is, the 30 days, the 12 months, depending on what kind of place. Ramah. Ramah says, or alternatively, he has to find him a replacement tenant. Another person who will rent the house. However, if he wants to put in somebody who doesn't meet the criteria, right? I'll give you. Let's say, for example, and remember, of course, this is all talking about when there was no Zman Kotzov. It was Bistam. Yeah. But let's say the deal was that I'm only letting people rent who can tell me they have a reasonable job. So I know I'm going to get paid. And now you're bringing me somebody who doesn't have any money, he's not employed, he's not what's it called, he has no way to come up with the money. So here, I found your replacement tenant. No, so that the balabas doesn't have to accept. But if
this is called subletting, no?
Subletting is a little bit different. Subletting means you're leasing to me and I'm leasing to you, I think. Meaning the sublet, in a sublet, the third party doesn't have any direct deal with the actual landlord.
Right.
I think but it's similar. In this case, at a sublet, I retain my lease. My lease is still going. And now your lease, a third person is leasing from me and paying to me.
Can a person put can the landlord put a stipulation that, I'm renting to you, I don't want you to bring me anybody else?
100%. 100%. Remember, this
is as not to run into a problem like this. Now, does this has to be Beksab? Does it have to be Be'edim? I mean, what kind of?
None of it has to be. It should be if we're smart, but not. Yeah. But it does. But in other words, a deal is a deal.
A deal that when you make an oral agreement, right? Does he have to be accompanied with a tkiyas kaf or not? I think so, no, because otherwise he doesn't hold any water at all.
He gave him a month of rent. That's he made a kinyan kesef on it.
Like Rabbi Kasimov said, by the way, if you're dealing with a thief, you're dealing with a thief. A deal is a deal, whether it's on paper or it's orally.
Yeah, but if you give tkiyas kaf, if you a handshake, it's much more binding than just
Oh, here is
words.
more binding than Tkiyas Kav. He paid him for a month of rent.
Yeah.
Not only he paid for a month of rent, he moved into the property. He took possession.
Right. And he has the right to do that. Alpidin, he's allowed to let a third party in if he doesn't stipulate. No.
No. So it depends. So according to the Rama, he if he presents a person who's fitting, right, then he can.
Yeah.
So in this sort of case, you could see the discussion in Besdin being that this guy says, here I brought him something fitting. The landlord saying this is not a guy who's fitting.
Yeah, I don't like his nose. I don't know. He's
What does it mean, somebody fitting? So that a Besdin would have to determine what we mean by that. But the pale nowadays, everything is done with a lease, and it's done with a time frame. So this would be a very rare sort of situation.
Yeah, because you could include in the lease that you don't want you bringing
And remember, this isn't like Hilchos Ribis that it's all set in stone. Here, everything hinges on what we're presuming the understanding to have been.
Right.
Okay, so if it's clear what the understanding is, listen, if I make a lease with you and I tell you, listen, you can stay here for 2 weeks and that's it. Here, sign this paper. You're for 2 weeks. So we'll see later. Zman Kotzev requires 0 notice. Listen, we made an agreement for 2 weeks.
That's it.
And it was clear it's for 2 weeks. You knew this in advance. You didn't have to accept that.
You're running an Airbnb.
Yeah, but here, this is Zman Kotzev. 2 days, right? Airbnb, 2 days. I'm sorry, after 2 days, you're out. I do not have to notify you nothing because you already knew. You already knew it's only 2 days.
Right.
I didn't all of a sudden jump this on you. Like, oh, by the way, I'm what's it called? I decided I need the property again. What's it called? I only rented it for 2 days in the first place. So which is I mean I could see it happening in Crown Heights. This guy lets him use his upstairs rooms for something or whatever, and they never discuss what But Bichlal, that's not the usual how it usually works. Okay, so now so now we're still talking about we did not set a time. Kosovo Shulchan Aruch writes, Masha Amarno, She'ena Maskir, Yochel Heitziyeh, Veloy Aseichid Yochel Lotzeis, Achidin Mekadim, right? This is that we said that neither party by in a case of Bistam, there's no Zman Kotzev. So we said that neither party can leave without notifying, right? In all cases, the same what the landlord is obligated to the tenant is obligated to the landlord. Now, im hukru habotim, if the property values went up, yesh la maskir leheisif olav v'leim laseicher, the landlord can raise the rent, and he can tell him, either rent it for its worth because the values went up here, or leave.
Hold on a second. Is this talking about when it was the Zman Kotzev or
no, not Zman Kotzev. Zman Kotzev, you can't. You
can't. There's rent control.
Anything.
No, there's rent control over there.
Yeah, you can't change anything for that Zman. Now, if he wants to renew a lease for the next year, that's a new negotiation.
Yeah, but he's talking about that it was Bestam.
Remember, Zman Kotzev was like a sale.
Yeah,
Zman
but he's a stam.
It's like if I sell you a house. It's like if I sell you a house and half a year later the values go up, I have no time against you.
Yeah,
so wait a second. When I sold you the house, the property values were too bad. You sold it to me. That's it.
Same thing by Schirus. Schirus is for that mesh of the Schirus, the rent is stable. Finished.
Yeah, it's Machal.
It's over here not. Here
not right because there was no Zman that was a kotzer for it. Yeah.
You have to give him warning that you're raising the rent or not. I think so. No, Shloshim Yom.
I would think it would be the same type of thing.
He says not. He says it says Ashukon Ohetz Jamaski says Chodeshin b'mechir haschirus behesan lemechirim shel achshav rak benogel lemekan lehabo ve'einam tzrichim lo idia al kach shloshim yom mereish.
Oh, interesting.
Wow. That
What,
he can take,
wait, what a loophole too.
shh.
What a loophole.
He mamish,
He'll raise the price whatever number. He'll get him out.
Well, I'll raise
no,
the
but
pro-
no, because the thing is this: when they get to throwing him out, or he has to give him shleishim yem
right.
by without a lease. Remember that, right? We said that when you don't make a lease, you want to throw him out, you have to give him a warning, advance warning of 30 days. In the winter, you have to wait the whole winter. Or when you get to raising the rent, uh, it's a modern amaisa over here, no?
Yeah, but you know what? It's not really. First of all, it's not really a loophole because if you look at the wording, that means I can't just because remember, there's still a no. If I now will tell you, oh,
Yeah.
I'm raising the rent 3 times as much, that's a no. I can't do that.
No, but if you rent if you it's $2,000 now the rent now and it's gone up to 2,500. As in the Guten Tag he wouldn't have bothered, but now that he needs the apartment, so he'll throw another $500 and make the guy move
But
out.
he can't just randomly do it. We're talking about dafka when the property values went up. Meaning he can't just pull
Okay,
it up and say,
so
I decided I want more rent. No. This is we're talking about. Let's say the property values went up, and now, right, everybody's rent went up. Right? I'll give you an example. Let's say there was a certain there's a certain tax benefit that the government was giving for landlords, and now it expired, this tax benefit, and now everybody raised their rent but by 25%. Everybody in the whole city.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but so I'm raising your rent also, just like everybody else.
Right.
It's right. It's dafki.
But that's without warning. But that's without warning. That's a pshat.
Yeah. Well,
that's what it says.
And that makes sense because why should I lose?
Right.
Right. If it was as man cut, so fine, I sold it to you.
That's exactly. Nothing's going to help you. You know what I'm saying?
I lose. I'm sorry because that was the deal. Right. So he can tell him either pay what it's worth. Again, he can't just gouge him.
Yeah.
Like just to get him out. But it's
no.
Either pay what it's worth or leave.
Yeah.
And also if the houses went down in value, the same thing. The tenant can tell the landlord either lower it, right? Either take this money because the property values fell, right? There used to be a stadium in this area, stadium, and now it's not such a big rental area. Everything's going for cheaper. Okay, so he can tell him take the less money. Now again, remember in a kotzuv, in a set time rental, the tenant also cannot do this. Even if the property values fell, I'm sorry, I sold it to you at that price. So for better or for worse, right? It's
right. By the way, if the guy stays behind and he doesn't raise his rent, right? He says here you can't go to Mafreya, right?
Right, you can't say, "Oh, pay me more for the past."
Yeah, for the past, right? From the time that the tax benefit went off, or whatever, right?
Even if the situation happened 5 months ago.
Right.
Like
But mekanule haba, you could.
Yeah.
Because even though he can't tie well, he didn't charge me for the last 5 months, so you don't have the rights to. You should.
Right.
It does make a difference because I was nice to you for 5 months, right?
Right.
Now, from now on, I need the money, so he can tiny it. It's important to know that. Where does it say that the soicher can tiny that lower my rent because everybody's rent go low?
Here, if you look on the screen here, you see you see the title Aliyah Sayiridas Mechira Be'emtza Schirus.
Yes, I have it. I have my own copy over here. Where does it say?
So it's right after it's right at the end of the paragraph of.
Well, there is oh hasoicher eno yochel litvoy lemafreya tashum no muchyoser.
Before that,
it is mashma.
End of the last paragraph.
I got it. I have my own copy here. So in front of me. So it says here, Belderech zeh. ze hasoicher ene jochel it wollen mafrel tashum no much yoiser, aber das ist le mafrel nicht, aber me kann le habo, ja.
Right.
From
Right.
this point
That's
on,
for both. So that's for both, right?
yeah.
Well, right.
So,
Either
so,
right. Both ways.
so can the guy says, no, I'm not going to give you a discount from now on. Does he have the right to throw him out? No, it's mashma that no, that he has, he has to keep him, no, or not, or
If
that, or
what? If he
if
agrees.
the guy, if the masker is not mask him to give him the discount from mikanu lehaba. I'm not talking about lemafreya. Lemafreya we said that not, but
Right.
mekanu lehaba. The guy says, listen, the rent went down. Can the guy say to him, listen, you don't like it, leave.
Yeah, for sure.
He can't tell him because it's
No,
not.
no. In fact, that's what the masker is saying in the first place. If you look at the end of the last paragraph, he's telling him,
Yeah.
or here, take your house.
Right, but I'm saying in the case whether the soicher is demanding a lower rent now on the basis that the mechirim went down, right? That the price went down.
And he refuses, then you have the option to either keep at the original price, or you could leave if you don't like it.
We're not talking about. We're talking about the discount price. Can the soicher be force the masker to give him a discount or not? That's my question.
No, you cannot force him.
So then,
In other words, I'll tell you what the chiddush is here. The chiddush
it's a yodel aliena. The masker is yodel aliena because the masker can force the soicher to raise his rent. Otherwise,
because you think about it the other way. I'll tell you what the chiddush is here.
Yeah.
Usually, the tenant can't just leave.
Right.
Here, the tenant can say, either give me less, or I'm leaving right now, or I'm leaving. I'm out.
Right. Usually, he would have to give him notice 30 days.
Notice, and in the summer and in the winter months, he has to give him even more notice, or in a krach, he has to give him 12 months notice.
Yeah. So here he can just.
I can say, listen, either I'm paying you less because the market value, or here, take your house. So meaning they're each given. If you see, it's a beautiful thing in each thing here.
Yeah.
It's perfectly weighted. Whenever it gives a certain right to the landlord, it gives on the flip side the equal right to the tenant.
Yeah, but not here. Not here.
Here.
I'll tell you why. Here, listen, here the soicher is demanding a discount, and the master cannot be forced to give him a discount. The guy can leave.
Okay, that's fine, but
in the case where the price went up, then the master can tell him tough. You don't like it.
But it's the same thing. But it's the same thing because in that case, if the guy agrees to pay the higher price, you can't get rid of him now.
You can't get rid of him
for the 12 months or for the 30 days or for whatever it is.
Yeah, right.
So the masker is getting what? He is gaining the right to get the higher price or leave, right? On the flip side, if it lowers, the tenant is getting the right to say, I'm paying a lower price or I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm leaving, right. And you're going to lose out of it.
That's the balance.
Time. Yeah, wow. Yeah. Okay. Right.
So all of this we were talking about when the Zman is not Kotzev, there's no set time. Now, what if there's a set time? B'schirus Zman Kotzev, ein tzarich b'yidam mukdemes. So it works two ways. On the one hand, I cannot get rid of you before the end of the time. At the same time, when that time is done, you're out immediately.
Right.
If it was for a set, he released it to him for a set time period. When this time period finishes, he can evict him immediately. Even if it was in the middle of the winter months.
Yeah. Well, that's the lease is over, finished.
Yep. This and the same applies, right? Like we said, everything's balanced. The tenant also, when the lease is up, he doesn't have to tell the landlord he's leaving. My lease is up. I'm gone. Bye.
Yeah, of course, because they both knew when it was going to be
Right.
over.
Yeah, right. Because again, this whole thing, it goes by by what a person would know and what he wouldn't know, and what he would expect and what he wouldn't expect. Right, which is why later we'll see there's such a strong effect of what the local minog is and how things are done locally, because that changes the expectation. They'll know you had notification right away before you made the deal. You can't tell me, oh, now you're putting me on the street again, even if it's only 2 days. But when you made the deal, you knew it was these 2 days.
Yeah.
Furthermore, when it comes to prices, b'schirus lazman kotz lo nit l'shanis samechir b'seich hazman. Shulchan Aruch. In his schirus lazman yadua, right? If he's renting for a set period, af al pishan is yakru habotam ayuzlu einim yechilim loy lo haisev loy legreya. Right? They both get the same. They both get the same rights. If it went up, too bad for the landlord. If the values went down, too bad for the tenant. You made a deal on a certain amount. That's the amount. You can't add or take off. The Ramah brings this in a slightly different wording. And so too, if he leased it to him for a set period, even if the properties went up or down, they cannot change it, but rather it remains how their original agreement was.
Okay, so I think I see, even before I do the shach inside, I see already a shinui in the Loshen. I'm not looking at the shach, and believe me, it can't be gleib enough on word that I'm not. You see, the Shulchan Aruch is not telling you that shehitznu. It's bestam. This was the price. You don't have to write anything in the lease regarding the price control. And the Ramah, it seems that I'm just saying bestam behashkofa rishen. It says that you need to add a clause. I think so. No, is there something to that or not?
I don't know if that's what the Shach is saying. Let me look.
The Shach says this. I didn't look at the Shach. Because you look at the Mechaber saying. Mechaber says the way it was at the time of the lease, azoy bleibt us, yeah. No, nothing about hitnu, hisnu, and no tenoim involved. It is what it is. Ramos says
I
it
think
depends.
I think like lechure, what his thing would be implying, which is not clear in the Shulchan Aruch necessarily, is that meaning this is if we set a time, I can't raise it or lower it. But if I am allowed to put a clause that if it goes up, it goes up, and if it goes down, it goes down. Meaning, if there's no clause,
I hear what you're saying, but
if there's
I
no
hear what you're
clause,
saying,
if
but
there's no
that's
clause,
that.
the
I don't think
standard
I don't.
assumption would be, right?
I'll tell you why. I tell you why I think. Let me tell you. I hear what you're saying. It's a very good thing, but I don't think the Mechaber would disagree with you with the Ramah. But and therefore the Ramah saying this, he would just be merely explain the Mechaber, which it could be that he often does that. It could be. Yeah? But if you say that the Ramah is being moisif on the Mechaber, which he obviously argues many times with the, so you could say that it doesn't hold what the Mechaber said.
But his lashon here, at least his lashon is mashma that he's not arguing, because v'chein. He says v'chein would
Very
seem
good.
to imply that I'd like to add something on to what the Mechaber is saying.
Yeah, very good. And instead of saying that he argues, very good.
Right,
Yeah,
he's saying v'chein,
very good.
And additionally, I want to clarify something.
It's a good diuk. Very good diuk. Yeah, very good.
So it would seem to be that at least at face value, he's mentioning the fact that, by the way, this is bistam, meaning bistam. We set a time. The general assumption is that we're agreeing for the price to stay the same through this man.
But should the price, if you make the tonight, that should the price go up?
Now
so
that's
then,
the new understanding.
Yeah, very good, very good.
השח ביר שכוונת הרמה כאן לחדש כאין מה שכתוב בשולחן ערוך על סחירוס שאין לזמן קצוב. That the Shach explains that the intent of the Ramah is to be mechadish here, similar to what the Shulchan Aruch wrote about the schirus that's le'ein zman kotov, v'hainu, meaning she'im ha'seicher nishar bedira la'achar teim hazman she'kotov l'schirus. Right? If, let's say, they had a time that they set, right? But now the tenant stays beyond the time that was set. And they did not speak between them. They did not discuss it. They didn't talk about a hiring of price.
Wow.
So min hastam hoyezeh al das hamechira rishon. So this is what the Shach says he's adding is that we can assume that the landlord, being that he didn't say nothing, is agreeing that it's continuing on the original price that was for this man kotzuv. That it
Very
continues
good.
at that same price.
I got it, yeah.
Right? So now, after this man kotzuv is finished, but he's still living there, if it goes up and goes down, you still same thing. You cannot go backwards.
Yeah, very good. So we're saying is this is talking that Ramah is mechaven to a case that the time of the lease is over, right? And obviously we're talking about a case that both sides will ask him to an extension. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, what's he doing in the house? He should have been out by now. You know what I'm saying? So mitam the when maskim given cannot go nicht gesagt.
I mean, listen. He stayed, and the other guy didn't tell him, hey, there's a new guy coming.
Yeah.
He just stayed staying there, right?
No, because you could see the guy, the masker, coming a few months later. Say, hey, you got to pay me.
Right, yeah. I mean, listen, you're staying there fine, but the price went up.
The price went up.
No, you can write for the future, yeah. For before, no. Right? You can't ask.
So what does he have to write in the lease? That this
No. So that's different. That's different because, for example, let's say, and there are leases like this that say after this end of the lease. First of all,
I know that. But my question is, I'm sorry. My question was, what do you have to write in the lease? The price stays the same.
Well, listen, whatever you're going to write in the lease is going to supersede whatever all this.
I know,
is.
but what it says kefi shehisnu means. Let's say he didn't write anything. He says, "Stam, the price is $1,000 a month for the apartment, right?" He didn't make it tonight. So now, after the lease is over,
that's right. Right. So he's saying, according to meaning, unless there is a superseding agreement,
that it's gonna go up.
Often in a lease, it will say that if the landlord does not notify the tenant that a new tenant's coming in, he has the option to stay month to month, and the price will be such and such, or it will say that he has the
difficulty that I have with this shach is as follows.
What the Ramah is talking about is they had a Tanai, the original rental period.
Yes, and
so now he's saying does
that go?
So now he's saying, and now that period ends, so long as no new discussion takes place, that original Tanai stands.
Right, because he didn't make a shinui. That's what I wanted to hear. Yeah,
that's his kiddush here. They're talking a beautiful shach over there. How he right?
It's I mean, who am I to say it? But it's mamish goinish. It's mamish like
yeah.
Because in the Lashon Ramo, it's very zugepasst, so the Ramo. You see?
It's not only that. It's also like it's sort of like
So the Lefi
why is
Shehisnu,
he
that's
restating this? It's almost like
yeah,
why is he restating this? Like
yeah, yeah.
what are you adding? What are you adding to the conversation?
Exactly, always kefi hatanai. But if you say the
Right,
fisha hisnu, that the fisha hisnu mikedem,
right,
that is shaykh lehaba,
right.
unless otherwise notified.
Right until he'll say otherwise, and only and he can't go to Mafreya. Only from that point he can say, okay, listen,
That's why I said that
you know, I was
Mamish
busy.
Gewaltig.
I was busy. What's it called? I'll let you stay here another 3 months at the same price, but the prices
Tough,
are going up. So
tough.
fine, for the future, fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very good.
Yeah. Aliyah Yerida Be'erech Hadira Mach Mashini Ben Nechis Shel Hadira. So how about now? It's going up or down, but it has to do with the situation around the surrounding the dwelling. So because Choshen, the Choshen writes the Gabi Din Anal by this regarding the above halachish Leinit L'Shanis as Mechir Askiris Be'emtzat Tkufat Ktuv Mireish, right? שמסתבר שהוא הדין גם במקרה שעולה ערך הדירה מחמסי בחיצייני שקשור לעזר. Right? Even if it's the same thing, even if it doesn't make a difference if it was bichlal, the economy changed or money went down or whatever, or if it's something specific to this neighborhood, like there was a new road was paved, which makes the area more, a better area because it has paved roads. That even by here we say that listen, I'm sorry, so he's a lucky guy. He rented an apartment for his man Katzov, which is considered like Mechira. And look, he has a good mazel. The place got better. He's the one who's going to benefit. I'm sorry, it's his mazel. Right? Let's say they built a skyscraper right next door to the building, and now his windows are blocked. Before he could see the ocean, he could see the sunset. Right? There was an empty land on Collins Avenue. Right now, Donald, Donald Trump a skyscraper, a big giant resort. You can't see nothing. You can say, wait a second. When I rented this from you, it was more valuable. I had a direct sight of the ocean and the sunset and whatever.
Too bad.
Yeah, actually, Collins would be the sunrise, not the sunset. But
yeah, but it's too bad on you that
right,
that
it's the
got built.
same thing, right? So it's the same thing. Is so the tenant cannot say, I want my lease to go, my rent amount to go down. That only when there's a new pagam that of such a strength that it could be mevatel the entire deal, like almost like mekachtos.
Like what?
So, like for example, let's say it's something like I don't know. It turns out that the back room is condemned and it's completely unusable. And you remember how like we were talking about by a no, that like remember the whole thing was would I have rented the place had I known that room was bad? Right? And let's say I have a business and I run out of that back room. This whole place doesn't make sense for me anymore. It's a megachtos. Right? We sort of covered this in the last month.
Yeah.
Then he can come and say, listen, it's not worth it. I wouldn't have rented it for that time had I known this. So then he could say, but you know what? Now that I'm in here already, I'll have to try to figure it out and squeeze into a smaller area. What's it called? I'll give up my mother-in-law's bedroom and make it my business instead, and whatever, but I'll pay you less money. You can make a deal like that, right? But unless it's such a degree of a thing that's cause for mekachtos, right? Like for example, listen, you knew that properties on Collins Avenue, they're building things. the fact that you got 7 months and nobody built anything there, fine, you good, good for you. But but the expectation is on Collins, they're going to build buildings, and there's going to be construction, v'chulu v'chulu. So unless it's so he can't go and say, "Oh, I want to pay less money now." Right? Essentially, just like we said, by when the value went up, we said, "Oh, it's your good mazel." So when the values go down, we say, "Listen, it's your bad mazel." Same thing. Now, what if the landlord actually caused the price to go up? Why? He renovated, he made it fancier, which this is interesting because I do not understand exactly really where the pischation is coming from here. Because of pischation, sheyesh la'ayin im yochel ha'maskil l'tveya ha'lo schar we have to look into, is it possible that the landlord can he can put a claim that listen, I made it more valuable. Because there's room to make this similar. Ladin Adam sheyorad b'rishus, right? It's like a person who went down with permission to the field of his friend v'ishbicha, and he made it better. Shetzarich ba'alasada l'shalim le'isashevach, that the ba'alasada has to pay him for what he made it better. V'hu adin kan, and so too we can say perhaps that the din is like that here. Shetzarich haseich l'shalim maskid ma'ashadir shavi yesef, right? Like let's say he now installed central air into all the units. Ach mitzad sheni, however, on the second hand, on the other, from the flip side, nitan leimer shaseichid yochelit l'tivos chasisa. The tenant can say, he didn't do it for me, you did it for you, so that your properties will be more valuable. Taka, I'm benefiting from it, but you did it for your own benefit. You didn't do it for my benefit. Lemaisa nishar b'sichation b'tzarich iyun. Lemaisa, he left it as a tzarich iyun. He wasn't sure. And he added, but he adds, that's bistam. However, if the tenant was clear that he doesn't, that he's not interested in these renovations, then then for sure the landlord cannot raise the amount on him, right? We're talking bistam. He already put the air conditioning in. Now after he put the air conditioning, he's coming into Shimon and saying, "Hey, I made it more. I made the value go up. Now I want to charge you more." And then Shimon goes, "Wait a second, you did it for yourself. You didn't do it for me." So in that case, the pischation he wasn't sure. He left it as tzarich iyun. However, it is clear that in a case where the tenant verbalized, he told him, that no, I'm not interested. I don't want to pay more. I'm not interested in your central air conditioning, and he put it in anyway. So then for sure he cannot raise the prices on it.
But does he have to warn him, I'm putting a central air conditioning and I'm going to charge you more money, or doesn't he have to? Does he have to warn him?
No, he can't, because it's a zman kotzuv.
Right.
So the only
and not zman kotzuv, does he have to warn him or not?
No, listen. If he tells him and the guy doesn't say anything, then I would say mistam, he agreed to it then.
Ain't no zman kotzuv. By ain't no zman kotzuv.
No, this by zman kotzuv.
By zman kotzuv, if he comes in the middle of the lease and he tells him, I'm going to start putting air condition, but the terms of your lease is going to get changed, and he keeps quiet, then he can do that. Such a thing?
Because Taka, we made an agreement for 12 months, right? Yeah. Okay, but that agreement was based on an apartment with no air conditioning. Now I told you I'm putting air conditioning in it, and it's going to be a nicer apartment. It's going to cost more.
He can force him to that, or
so
I don't think you should be able to force him.
On that, the pischation is not sure. He leaves it as tzarich iyun. He's not sure. What he is clear about is if the tenant objected, then for sure he cannot raise the thing. If the tenant tells him, I don't need your air conditioner, I don't want your air conditioner. I'm not paying more. I like it how it is. That was the deal we made. Finished.
Or I like air conditioning, but I can't afford it.
Right. Listen, meaning I'm not willing to pay for air conditioning here.
I'm not willing to pay a penny more than what we agreed.
Right. I love air conditioning. Not only that, you want come disturb my wife when she's sleeping, even to put in air conditioning. Fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not paying for it. I'm sorry. This was our deal. I can't pay for it. So in this
Okay,
case,
noch eine Scheide. Is mechuyev zu moidia sein? The masker is mechuyev zu moidia sein the soicher or not?
that it comes down to the same to that referred to up above by shiputzim. So it depends. Is he making a big disturbance? Is he in other words, any renovations he does, he has to do it in such a way that it's not
But even if it's not going to disturb, you're disturbing, but he has to inform him what he's doing. I'm not saying that.
No, he has to let him know. By the way, listen, he'll tell him. By the way, and next week I have guys coming in to put in air conditioning,
and your rent is going to go up.
No, or let's say he says nothing.
He says nothing. He can be mechayev him.
So the pisichation is not sure. Listen, if he told him the rent is going up and he said nothing, then it would seem you accepted it that the rent's going up. Fine, you're agreeing.
You mean like shtika gehoidod?
Right. If you said no, I'm sorry, I'm not paying more, then he can't make you pay more. Even you can tell him, listen, put in the air conditioner. I'll let your guys in, but I'm not paying more.
I have a question to Choshen, because there has to be a direct dialogue. You know what I'm saying? Things have to be ksumim v'chasumim. They have to be clear. We made up a price of $2,000 for 12 months. You come along now and you tell me, okay, I want to put air conditioning, I want to do this, I want to start putting a new heating thing, whatever, for the winter.
The whole problem here is when. And by the way, this is where you see how important it is to communicate clearly.
That's what I'm saying.
Most of the problems we've been looking at here are cases that they failed to communicate clearly what the deal is. Now he's I thought we meant this, and the other guy's saying I thought we meant this. So now the Shulchan Aruch has to come and say min hastam which guy is more right, right? But all these cases, had we discussed it, we wouldn't have this problem.
Okay, so my question is like this. So don't you think that that in a case where there wasn't clear dialogue between the masker and the soicher, like we made an agreement of 12 months, $1,000 a month, yeah? You want to come along now and say that I put an air conditioning in the house, I'm going to charge you another $200 for the air conditioning? That's what you're going to do. So then, you have to make it clear to the soicher, no? I mean, bestam.
What?
I'm talking just on a very pashtus level, without his chakmus, without acting like a wise guy. You want to change it tonight? Be clear, be upfront with it. No, I mean, so why is he mesupah?
Whatever, because he assumed that it's all this guy assumed and that guy assumed. Listen, you're right. And had they been clear about it, we wouldn't have this whole problem.
Yeah, but in other words, why? What are we assuming? We're assuming that the soicher is going to benefit from it, and therefore he would want to pay more money. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So in other words, maybe we. He was nichnas b'reshus. You let me come in and do the renovation. So it's mashma. So it's mashma. If I'm making the place nicer, you're going to pay more, right? And he's saying we had a deal.
You can do whatever you want. You're not doing it only for me. You're doing it. I mean, I'm just.
Right. You're right. So that's exactly the time of the tenant. Because you're not doing it for me. You're making your place nicer, so you can either charge me more for the next rental.
Yeah, or if I move out, the next tenant.
So he wasn't because of how it aligns to other cases.
I mean, that he didn't come to any conclusion, because I would have.
Again, you have to remember though too. I was looking at this like, what's his shaila here? And we have to, and then like it occurred to me, you know what? I'm looking at it through a lens of how we do business today and how things usually happen today. Maybe
Yeah,
back
I think Pischus Choshen was a long time ago. What?
then. When was the Pesach? Let's see. Well, he wasn't he wasn't a short time. He's not contemporary for sure.
Who was the Minchas Osher? Excuse my Amiratzis.
I can't remember these from day to day either. Here, let's see.
I find out. Minchas Osher.
Osher Weiss, contemporary.
He's alive.
He's alive
Minchas
now.
Osher is alive and
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I know who that is. I thought that was him.
Usher
Yeah,
Weiss. He's what's it called? He's
I know who it is. Yeah,
I follow him on YouTube.
Yeah, he's a Hasidic guy who talks English very well.
Yeah. Okay, and then the
Minchas
that was him, and who else were we talking about? The
Pischus Choshen. Rabbi Yaakov Yeshaya
Blau.
Blau. Libby Omerly that
Oh, you know what? He's also. I mean, he's not alive anymore. He was contemporary also.
who is this? Which Blau is this? Yeah,
He was a Rav and Dayan on the Badatz of Eid Charedis near Shalayim.
I know who that is. Yeah,
And he
No.
passed away in 2013, so not so long ago.
he must have been a Mishpat with Moshe Blau, from the Yerushalmi Blaus. Moshe Blau and Amram Bloy from that Gezer.
Okay, so let's finish up the last this paragraph.
Yeah, I was going to ask you where we're doing a Til Tikunim, right?
What's that? We're on the top of 10.
10, yeah, I got it. Ha'im soiches yotze tzorech l'saper.
האם השכל שיצא צריך לספר לשכל נכנס על פגם משמעוס בדירה.
Yeah,
So there was a major problem in this apartment or this
Yeah.
property or whatever. Do I have to tell the incoming guy about it? Right?
or should you say?
Remember, like by the store. Remember,
yeah,
like I was pricing by the store, or like if a
Yeah.
guy is a cheat, do you have to tell him or not? Like we had at the end of last Zman.
Yeah, right. Or should I said it's your business to have checked it out.
Do I have to let him know? So Kosim shall so Chubis Avni Yashve. שאם ראובן צורך הדירה והוא איזה וישמח מסחסון גודל שיש בו כגן שיש בו ריח רע, right? Let's say there's like a constant, like a sewer that's always making us smell in there or something. The whole place smells horrible. צריך הוא להידיע על כך לאנושים ממסענים בדירה. וכן, so he has to let people know that if somebody's interested in the apartment, he has to tell them about it. Right? Just like by the store if a guy's a cheat. And also on other major things that issues with the place. Right, just like we learned about, do you have to tell them that this store's overpriced or not? Right, or also we learned that a seller has to tell somebody about a defect in a product. This chiyuv is not just on the seller. Elo chiyuv al kol odom she'idea al hamum mishum mitzvah hashavas aveda lahatzel mamen chaveda. So yeah, you do have to tell him about it. Tell the incoming guy about it. Omnam b'mikra sha'seichen mefachin mebalabayi she'ol is nakim bei kasher yisaper ab gomim. If he's afraid, right? The balabasa mafioner, and he's going to get back at whatever. Potter aseichim l'saper al kach, and he's potter from saying she'ein chayav lahafsid mamen avur mitzvah shavas aveda, because he doesn't have to lose his own money to return the other guy's money.
Beautiful. But what about the maskir and the soicher? Is the maskir, should the maskir tell the soicher the pagomim or not? That's
yeah, for sure he should. He's like a meicher. He for sure should tell. But let's say he's not telling.
And somebody else, a third party knows. Is a third party mechuyev to tell?
The tenant knows. And the truth is, yeah, even not the tenant, right? Like we said before, by a store that the guy's overcharging, even a third party. If you know something, well, how do you say?
You should unless you're dealing with a mafia guy.
Say something, right? It's not the government tells you. If you know something, say something.
Yeah, but he says if you're scared not.
Yeah, I have to run to Levaya, but if
Yeah.
people are available tomorrow morning, same time, I mean, we don't have that much left. It'll probably be a much shorter session.
Yeah.
But if people
I'll
are,
join.
we'll do it again. We can do it again tomorrow morning. Same thing.
What time is starting? 10 or what?
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Perfect.
Okay. Perfect. Very good.
Okay.
I'll be
wonderful.
at my desk tomorrow. Sorry, I'm mobile today.
No problem. And I'm gonna put I'll put the YouTube link on the I have to pull the volume when I get back, Mr. Shem. I'll put the YouTube link on the
So it's
thing. So if you want to look up the beginning or whatever, anybody else.
yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Very
you so
much.
much.
I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed it.
Listen. You
Fair. Thank you.
put a safer halach in front of my hands. I'm having fun. So
Can we
No,
make
I'm
this
saying
regular?
I was very happy at the way you learned up the shach on the thing, the diuk called vechein. You know, that was a good
beautiful.
diuk.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. But how the shach explains it is poshut, meidic, beautiful.
Now, before tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem, I want to go over, what we learned now inside the Shulchan Aruch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then you get then you really get
Yeah, you got to get the thing. Okay,
And,
bracha ve'atzlacha v'chol tov. Sei
quick question.
gesund.
I was talking to my father. Could we do this a little bit more often? After a share or before a share?
Well, I mean, maybe on Thursdays and Mondays we'll review
Something.
last year, and we'll actually inside we'll review or something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should do like one session inside and one session